All right, today is Monday, October 5th, 2020. This is the Kubernetes CSI implementation meeting. So our main agenda topics are wrapping up 119 and going into 120 work. So on the 119 front, we're mostly just trying to update the documentation and also update all our CI at this point. I have a docs PR out. I guess I have some open questions for some of the items. So Xing, Hamat, and Yan, if you can take a look, that would be
Which
great.
repo? That's a docs
This
repo.
is in the docs repo.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. Let's see. I've also been working on updating the CI to work on 119. I think it's almost there. There's just a couple, like 2 issues there, but I think we should be close. And I think Xing, have you been able to test out the snapshot controller update?
Yeah, so I have the PR. I updated the PR. I think now addressed your comment. So I commented out a few things. Just take a look and see, because I think previously we are looking at whether to enable snapshot has or not. There's a condition. I removed that. Yeah, take a look of my PR and see if you have other comments.
Awesome.
This is on the CSI driver repo.
Okay, cool. Thank you. In terms of the sidecar releases, I think all of them have been released. CSI proxy has a problem with the image push. I've asked Jing to take a look. It looks like we have some permission issue or something. Also, one more thing that kind of popped up actually last week. There's a problem with the sidecar metrics. Basically, we can't extrapolate the beginning intervals, the beginning data for it. So we need to add this process start time metric to all the sidecars in order for us to actually be able to consume these metrics. So there are some cherry picks going out in all of the sidecars, so we'll probably want to make some patch releases for that.
So is that for all the sidecars need to have that cherry picked?
Yes.
Okay. So this that was added quite some time ago. How far away do we want to cherry pick? You're saying the general sidecar control, sidecar metrics operation time, right? That's
yeah.
Broken. I thought that's
yeah.
a long time ago.
I
Almost
think
a year, isn't it?
No. We added those operation metrics fairly recently, like in the last 2 releases or so.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, so if you see cherry picks going on, that's what we're trying to fix.
Okay.
Okay, so that's it for 119. Moving on to 120, I believe the cap deadline is tomorrow. Is that right?
Yeah.
So let's get our status update on the caps. Let's skip all these bugs. First up is FS group. I think, Hamat, you made one update to the recursive chunk cap. Has the CSI driver one been updated yet?
If you're talking about mine, I dropped the references to the new in untype.
Okay. And has your Christian, has your cap merged yet?
My cap has not merged. I don't believe it's been reviewed, but the initial cap was targeting beta in 120, and there was a note on the issue saying that the cap, I thought the cap was good for 120.
Oh, okay. Can you just ping it to me just so we make sure everything looks okay?
Yes.
We still
Awesome.
might want to talk to someone from machinery about the potentially adding a new
I
field.
can't hear Hamad. Can anyone hear him?
Amon's very quiet.
Far away.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, so I was saying that like, can we still need, I think, some input from SIG machinery, maybe Jordan and someone about the potentially adding a new field in 121, like the to the enum mount option for the FS group thing. We are not adding it now, but so we still have
Okay.
to. I'll ping the channel today, but it's not covered
Okay.
in any of the caps.
I think that's okay. We can kind of we can follow up on that, but I don't think it needs to block the actual cap deadline. Like if it turns out we can't do it, then we can just drop it from the release.
Mm. Yeah. Okay.
All right. Next is data populators.
Yeah, okay. So I put a kept PR out there, and I also put a PR with my sort of prototype implementation. I got a bunch of good feedback last week, and I need to push another version of the KEP. After sort of looking at a lot of the questions that the KEP asked about alpha, beta, I'm realizing that like while there's definitely more work to do, I don't think we can go to beta in this release because beta implies like the feature gate is on by default, and like we have to get the validating webhook, you know, implemented and available before anyone could realistically switch the feature gate default on. So I think that we'll stay in alpha and just do work on this. What I don't know is how realistic is it to get the KEP merged by tomorrow. Like if I push another version of the KEP PR today, can people review it, and is there a good chance of it merging? Or
Yeah, we can certainly make some time to review it today.
okay,
So
I mean, I know that last time we needed Sod and we needed Tim Hawkin to like weigh in on it to get it merged originally, and this is kind of just a reformat with some new content, and I'm proposing that we stay in alpha. So I don't know if that lowers the bar for how many reviewers we need, or
I
So
think that
you,
should be fine.
yes,
If we're staying alpha, then actually we don't really need to update things by the deadline.
okay,
yeah.
yeah, I guess
So the only things I see that now you have actually added a CRD, which was not there before, right? So normally when we add a new API object that does need an API review, but you're staying in alpha, so I think even the deadline is not really that critical that we really have to.
yes, yeah, that's what I was sort of going towards. Was I think. I don't think there's any way we can realistically aim for beta if the webhook needs to be part of the plan, and I think it does. Therefore, I'm just going to sort of keep working on this KEP, and maybe we can get it merged by tomorrow, but I don't feel like we really need to because it's going to be alpha one way or the other. and of course, I want to continue to work on the work so that that can be done as part of 120, and then for 121, assuming everything goes well, at that point we could look at beta.
That sounds good to me.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Next up is snapshots.
Yeah, so the cap is merged. So I do have a bunch of other questions. Okay, so now I started to change the API from V1 beta 1 to V1. Do we need to keep the V1 beta 1 API folder?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. I just wonder how that would work. So, but we do need to change the controller to use the V1, right? Or is that?
Yes.
How does that work? Is that the converted automatically? We don't have to kind of.
Yeah. See,
Okay.
if we're not changing the schema, then the CRD framework should automatically convert the fields.
Okay.
If we're doing things like changing the fields and stuff like that, then we might have to write a conversion webhook that can convert between the two versions.
Yeah, no, we're not changing. Also, and this would need to have a API review, right? So now coding part, okay, so part should get us started early. And then I think there's also some, other than the API changing the version itself, and there's also some change to do in the webhook itself, I think, a webhook controller, like make the strict and the validation basically do not allow update, something like that, right? So I think that change will happen before we find the API reviewer. Is that so? Okay, all right.
It's actually, I think in the CR. Oh yeah. Okay, yeah. I think there will be changes throughout.
Yeah. So
I
yeah.
think. I think there's in the CRD itself, there's like, I think you can add a one of or something to some of the fields, and then also in the validation webhook you'll have to tighten some of those things.
Okay. I will sync up with Shang-Chen with the changes. Because some of those, I think, options were not there before. Maybe now it's available now. One-off thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Zing, the volume snapshot data source feature is also moving to GA in this release.
Yeah. Yes.
Cool.
Yes. So I submitted a PR on that one. Let's see what else. Feature gate. Yeah. Okay. So I will just figure out how to make those validation changes with Shang-Chi, and then after that we can pin the API reviewer to review, and then now. Then after that, I think we have quite a few E2E tasks, that actually a lot. So I think we need to prioritize them, because I found out we don't have that many people who can work on them. They sign up for them, but then they have other priorities. So I'm looking at our cap, right? So it has, there is a one, so we finished all the P0 T2E. And then for P1, the finalizer test, we don't have anyone working on that one yet. And then, and for P2, there are tests on secrets. We also need to find the owner. I think for metrics, Grant, since he's working on metrics, so he can work on that. So I think from your team, Chris is working on stress tests, right?
That's right.
He assigned him. Yeah. Do you think it's good for, I don't know if he has started that, does he have time to work on some other like P1 test first? I was thinking stress test, it seems not even in the cap. Would that be like a P3 type of thing? Because
I think during production review, there was
those?
one item about like scalability, right? So I think we need stress tests for that.
Okay, so does all the E2E tests have to merge by November 12th?
I think so, yes.
Yeah, I think that's probably unlikely.
Yeah, so Chris, I spoke with him last week, and he said he was gonna start looking at the stress tests.
Okay, yeah, okay, so I still need to find someone to work on the finalizer and the secret tests, because those are...
But should those stress tests go into the E2E test binary, or should that use the cluster load generator framework?
At this time, we're looking at putting it into the E2E so that you can actually run it against plugins or your own plugin.
Okay, so it should be using the storage test framework or the storage test suites framework.
That's what we're looking at now.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just asking. I was wondering because I looked a little bit into this cluster load generator, and it is fairly reusable even for different CSI drivers.
Yeah, it's just right now, like I think we've been promoting this E2E test framework. So, I would assume most plugin drivers already or are aware of this one. I think it will be another effort to get, people ramped up to cluster loader and running those
Yeah,
kinds of tests.
and it does have some rough edges. So I got it working today. I'm still not sure what to do with it or how to run tests. Perhaps we can have a few more minutes to talk about that. But yeah, I was just wondering.
Do we have those tests available already for persistent volumes, so we can do the same thing for snapshots?
Yeah, so that's the thing. We have stress tests in the E2E test framework on persistent volumes.
Okay.
So it shouldn't, I don't think it should be that hard to adapt it to snapshots.
What about, have you got a chance to look at the stress test added by Ronak?
I have not looked at those yet.
Because then I'm a little confused about which one do we need, or we need both, or what?
I think Ronak was working more on like benchmarking tests, I guess. Like, are they actually testing a driver, or is it just testing the sidecar?
I need to check his. It's been a while when I take a look up. Okay, I'll take a look up his test again. Okay.
Okay.
But sure. Yeah, that's all.
All right. Cool. Thank you very much. Next we have volume expansion. I guess there's are there any more caps we need for 120?
I was planning to or started to write on the allow volume expansion copying to the PV, but I think in this release I won't have much time, so I'll just try to get the cap for that work, the allow volume expansion field. It will probably need to be an enum, and we have to consider upgrade downgrade scenarios. Cap for that one, and then the cap for recovery in the 120 timeline, rather than implementing something new thing. So we'll just fix the bugs, and we don't need any new caps in 120 timeline for volume expansion.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. Let's see. I guess so the rest of these we're not promoting, so I guess it's just a feature status update on volume health.
Yeah, there was a PR. I think I need to get it merged. I'll ping Nick to look at that, and then still need to work on implementing that in the CSI host path driver, basically. That's still
Okay, sounds good. Cool. And then Patrick, all of these three we're still gonna keep in its various stages.
Yeah, well, we are not not moving to beta in any way. I do have this different projects set up now for tracking the next graduation. So the plan is to just do some work that's reasonable and possible, but not target beta or GA or anything major.
Okay, sounds good. Once you get a chance to, when you get a chance, just go ahead and start populating these with all the various different items.
There is okay, so you mean the things that I actually want to work on in 120. Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah. All right, awesome. Okay. I think that's it for the major features. Any other topics?
Can we talk briefly about scale testing, the work that has
Okay.
been done with the load cluster load generator? I've been able to run it today, so I think I understand the tool now, and I understand what it does, which tests exists. What I don't quite understand yet is how it has been used and what kind of metrics you get out of it, and what kind of conclusions you draw from the results. So to recap, I think it basically creates some bunch of PVs, it runs pods, you get timing results for the different steps. That's part of the JUnit results that I've seen. and you get some metric data out of API server, etcd, and Cube controller manager. I think that's the other one. But have you done actually some real performance tuning based on that, or is it just really a rudimentary work on getting this whole thing running at all?
My understanding so far is that we've used it to just measure what the current state is. And we have not, we did do, we did fix a couple bugs on, we used this to test the GCE PD entry driver, and we have used this test to fix some bottlenecks we were seeing in the GCP cloud provider. But for like the rest of the stuff like secrets and config maps and things like that, I don't think we've used it. Oh, I think we have used it for the there's the immutable config maps and secrets feature. I think we have used it to measure the API load with that feature on.
So when you say you measure where you are currently, what exactly is it that you're measuring? You're configuring
The pod
test.
startup.
Okay, so that's one of the metrics that you get dumped into the results directory, and that is the percentiles for how long a pod takes to start up. Okay, I see.
Yeah. It's, I think we measure a couple things. We measure pod startup. The other thing we pay a lot of attention to is like API server load, both on yeah, mostly API server load and pod startup are the two main things.
Yeah, okay. My focus now is a little bit more on volume creation, because I want to figure out what's the best way of doing controller to node communication for local volumes. And that's related also to the thing that we talked about for external provisioner, where we want to run it on each node and basically get immediate binding working somehow in that setup. And I've modified the test so that it doesn't actually start pods. Or there's an if check now around that section, so it just creates PVs, waits for all of them to be bound, and then tears them down again. And I now wonder what metric I should look at. How long it takes probably would be one thing. Just ramp up the number of PVs and see how well it handles that. Yeah, I guess that's doable.
Hey,
We
Patrick,
have the.
Do you want to take a look of the test that Ronak has added? That's for the performance metrics of volume lifecycle, maybe kind of related.
It's that in the E2E test suite.
It's in the, yeah, he has a PR. Let me put the PR. Maybe take a look and see if there's any overlapping with the work you're trying to do.
It seems similar, yeah. And the other thing that I was wondering is whether there will be bottlenecks, just say in external provision itself. I remember seeing some PRs where people looked at the number of requests that to the API server that are needed to get a PV created. And I think the conclusion was that the throttling in the client client Go library itself was already slowing down total numbers of volumes
So
per second.
we fixed that in the latest provisioner release. Basically, the lib external provisioner was making unnecessary API calls, so we were getting throttled by the API server. That issue has been fixed, and actually, so now the external provisioner is able to double its throughput from previous releases, which is really good. I think from that experiment, Ronak also posted numbers by tweaking the QPS and the burst variables, but I think looking at those numbers, like the gain you get in QPS is not proportional to the amount of increase you need to increase the QPS. Like I think the numbers were something like if you double the QPS, you get less than double the gain in provisioning. So I think like I think at this point, tuning those QPS values is not really going to be very beneficial in terms of improving throughput.
Okay. I was just wondering whether people have done this analysis and whether I'll just repeat work that people have already done.
Yeah, so Ronick was the one who was running like some sort of benchmarking tests using a mock CSI driver. And he was the one who like found these issues, and then I think the PR Xing is referring to, like I asked him to see if he can make the benchmarking test he was using to test these changes, you know, to put them in our repos. So I think that's the PR that Xing put out.
Yeah, I'm just looking at it. It does look like it's doing the same thing using a different framework, which is fine. And I think it may even be easier to just use it in the E2E test suite. But yeah, okay. Thanks for the pointers, guys. That helps.
All right. Any other topics? Then one for today. Thanks.
Thank you.